boys, welcome back to the Sports Show. Time to talk about wheelchair disability footy. We don't hear a lot about it, but it's growing pretty nicely here in South Australia. So we've got the guru from the SANFL of Disability, Nathan Pepper, joins us, and the captain of the state team, Grant Leonard, in the studio. Let's start with you, Grant. How did you get wheelchair footy, mate? 3 years in the making. What drew you to it?
I think the SA team had a side back in 2017, 18, 19, and they went to national carnivals and won. And when I heard about wheelchair footy, it definitely grabbed me, and being able to play a sport that I played as a junior, but you're always following all your SANFL teams or your AFL teams, and getting the opportunity to play a modified version of it, it's been fantastic.
So, captain of Norwood, was Norwood your club?
Growing up, yes.
Okay, so it's a pretty good one. So great rivalry between you and Sturt. They've won it the last couple of years, mate. Have you closed the gap? You ready to knock them off the perch?
Probably not just yet this season. They've definitely got an advantage on us at this stage still, but yeah, closing that gap, and can't wait to knock them off.
Why are they better? Why have they been around longer?
Cheap salary cap.
Salary cap.
Salary classification has been brought in this year to sort of level out all the teams. Norwood, we've got a high number of players with a higher level of disability, so we're still working on our point system, getting some players in, and then that way we'll definitely be able to push them. But the other week, it was pretty close. They got us by a couple of goals, but we're definitely bridging the gap.
Grant, I've got to ask you this, mate, because I was looking at it this morning. I look at the game and look at the rules, which are interesting as well. But you don't need a disability to play this game. You can just turn up and say, hey, listen, I wouldn't mind having a crack at this. Looks good, looks fine, and whatever, in a wheelchair, and away you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the, hallmarks of this sport. It's truly inclusive. That word gets thrown around a lot these days, but it is an actual inclusive sport, because it's also mixed gender, as well as there's no age limits. We've got ones as young as 10 years old right through to 60 plus playing, as well as as I said, male and female, and also players with and without disability. So it's really exciting.
So your team, I might be wrong here. So your league team here now can have a female in the team. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. There's 5 aside.
Yep.
Yep. So you're one centre, 2 backs, 2 forwards,
that's correct.
if you like.
Yep.
So they can be mixed. Yeah,
that's right. And then this year, as Grant mentioned, we brought in a points classification system. So that's basically assessing every player based on their function level. So not how good they are at handballing a goal, but literally their function level in terms of the way that they move. If you don't have a disability, you're worth 5 points. If you've got a more complex, severe disability, you're worth 1. And then players are scaled in between. And then you can only have a maximum of 16 points on court at any one time. So that's part of, what we've tried to do in ensuring that remains a fair and inclusive competition that anyone can get involved and have a go.
I'll tell you what's unfair is trying to work the wheelchairs, because I've played this, mate. And that would be 100% my biggest handicap, without a doubt. I raced about 10 years ago against a guy who was at that stage the wheelchair sprint champion. They gave him a 50-metre head start. We got a 50-metre head start. I couldn't nearly see him. He was that far back. I thought, we're home and host. 3 pushes, mate, and he'd gone past me. So there is a super skill in the way that you use your chairs as well. I reckon that gets lost a little bit. You talk about the handball, but the way you guys use your chairs is pretty impressive.
Yeah, you're definitely going to have your chair skills, handballing and marking the ball, and then when you do have an able-bodied play, they still want to mark the ball, but they forget to push the chair. So it's definitely a fair bit of skill in it.
How long do you reckon it took you to grasp the skills of wheelchair footy?
I played a bit of social wheelchair basketball beforehand, so it wasn't too bad. But just, handballing is still a skill to have whilst you're in a chair rolling around with a defender on you, so it is definitely a skillful sport to play.
In footy, they talk about kicking being the most difficult skill to master. What's the most difficult one for you guys?
I suppose getting that separation. If you're able-bodied footy, you can just quickly step in front of a player, but in the wheelchair sport, you've got to get around your chair, and the blocking and tactics in it, it's quite high.
Injuries for you guys? Because I was talking before we came on air, mate, how I'd gone and watched the rugby, and seriously, I don't know if anyone's watched it. It's the most brutal game I've ever watched.
I watched it.
It was worse than the Demolition Derby.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot of chair contact and physicality to it, which is what we love as, playing wheelchair sport.
I agree. You guys look like you enjoy it. I'm going, come
on. Love it. You've got to have your rules, and sometimes some players may step over it, but it's all part of sport.
How many chairs do you go through a year?
We've got a few broken chairs.
Wow.
Expensive piece of equipment though, so you've got to try to be careful. Yeah.
Wow. Now, just to let the folks know, you have a wheelchair Auskick coming
Yeah.
out. Now, that's interesting because I think 5 to 14 years old can now come and have a crack at
We've
Auskick.
we just opened registrations actually, so hot off the press, and that was going to start up in term 3, so a few weeks time, really excited to get that next generation of stars coming through.
What I heard you say before, mate, I think it was really interesting that if you have someone in the family who is in a wheelchair, you know the son or the daughter or the whatever can come and play with them. I think that's the great thing, that it's inclusive that way. So when you say you don't need a disability to jump in a chair and play, this gives the opportunity for the whole family to play, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
fantastic initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that we've seen throughout the competition. There's been quite a few stories. Grant's one that his brother and son has played in the competition as well. So we'll be able to share that. I'm sure Grant can speak to that, of how amazing that is for him and the others that are involved in the competition as well.
I think that's fantastic. I really do.
How was it, mate, playing with your brother and son?
It is really good. It's, I mean, especially to have my son to come out and play a sport with me that, you know, I can't go running on the oval kicking a footy with him, but we can still play against each other or play with each other. And as Nathan alluded, I've got my brother playing with us now. You know, he's 6'5", so he's a handy addition to our team. Again, the chair skill level, he's definitely getting there and doing really well. But you've got to acquire that, and it takes time to get that wheelchair skill and then the hand-eye coordination with the footy as well.
I think that's great.
Is it growing pretty quickly over 3 years? Because you've got a reserves comp starting up as well now. 4 clubs are starting to fill up. You're finding that more people are starting to gravitate to it?
Yeah, and we've had a bit of interest from other SANFL clubs as well. So I think it's a matter of time before. I mean, I'd love to see, you know, all of our SANFL clubs eventually have a team. We're just obviously conscious not to put the cart before the horse and grow the competition so it's sustainable still. This year is the first year that we've each team has had their own reserve side. So that's a really important step to ensure that everyone can still play, because the top level gets really competitive. And we want to make sure there's always that avenue for if someone just wants to rock up and play socially, that they can get involved and have a go.
So, okay, where do we rate? Where do we rate nationally? How are we going? How are we travelling? Because you were captain at, last year of the national team.
Yeah.
Where are we in the mix?
Definitely closing the door. So, you know, SA won the National Carnival for 4 years in a row, and then the AFL Wheelchair Championships were last year. So we got runner-up against Victoria. It was a really tough competition, but even with our SANFL teams now, the level's definitely upped, and it's only better for SA as a team to go over and play against Victoria again in the Nationals. So it's a title we want to bring back again.
Yeah, the AFL Wheelchair Champs are back in November this year, so I think we'll be pretty keen to bring that trophy back.
Excellent.
Hey, Nathan, Grant, really appreciate your time, mate.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It's great to see it growing. It's a terrific sport, mate. The opportunity to play with your son and just be brilliant, mate. We just don't get those
Don't forget
opportunities.
the Auskick. Anybody who wants to...
The Auskick,
have
give it a
crack?
plug, mate. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find details on our Facebook page, is probably the
Okay.
easiest. So searching for SANFL Disability Programs on Facebook. It's being held at Novita Tech. Obviously, Novita have been a fantastic sponsor of ours for the league, and we're actually running it at their store. They've got a little half-court basketball court. So, if anyone wants to reach out to us through our socials or on our website, sanfl.com.au/wheelchair.
All right, starts up term 3.
Starts on
Excellent.
term 3.
Appreciate your time, fellas. Fantastic.
Good on you.
Stay with us still. A bit more to come.